Hey YouTube, have you ever wondered what makes a successful trader? In this video, I have compiled a list of qualities just for you. Trading options is like running a business. It is 50% skill and 50% execution. And when it comes to execution, most traders will agree that the most important quality one should have is discipline. Being disciplined and sticking to your principles goes a long way into defining your success. When you are starting out, it is okay to experiment with different strategies and just test the waters, but once you're ready, you have to define your own system. It's a trading method or a strategy that works. So you have to ask yourself, do you have a game plan? I personally like to trade earnings. It's a high risk, high reward game, but I win over 80% of my trades. Once you know what works for you, the next important thing is to stick to it, which is easier said than done. Breaking your own trading rules is the number one recipe for disasters. If you have a rule like, I only trade blue chip stocks, but suddenly you watch some news and decide to jump on a hype stock that just went IPO, there are chances that you could learn a lesson here the very hard way. Another decision that can blow up your account is position sizing. How much percentage of your capital do you want to allocate to each trade? If you wake up every morning like this, then you have the right size. But if this is how you wake up, that is a good indicator you need to keep it down. You should know how much risk you can tolerate and deploy the right amount of capital for each situation. Disciplined traders review their trades regularly and they make the right adjustments ahead of time. Such traders, they know when to take a loss and they move on. Not watching your trades closely or letting them run too far against you will always result in an uncomfortable situation. Talking about trades going against you, it is so important to have a good amount of knowledge on how options work. The various strategies you can employ, such as defined risk and undefined risk, buying versus selling options, as well as the Greeks. A lot of new traders I see on social media have zero knowledge on how options work, and they have no idea why their call option lost money even though the stock went up. A good trader knows how the options are priced, they have a plan, and they know what to do when the trade goes against them. A good trader can find a trading opportunity in any markets. If you have a system that only works when the market goes up, what will you do when the market goes down or goes sideways? If you only trade earnings, what will you do when there are no earnings? Or if you only like trading in high volatility markets, what will you do when there is no volatility? This brings me to another aspect, which is knowledge on multiple instruments. If you only trade a specific commodity or a company like Apple or the SPY index, then it would help if you expand your knowledge and try to get accustomed with currencies or commodities, which is like oil, gold, silver, or even bonds, treasuries. That will really help you expand your reach and be able to trade in more markets. It also must be mentioned here about taxes. Not many traders know the difference or try to understand how the system works. For example, let's take the wash sale rule. If you had a loss on a specific symbol like Apple, you could stay away from trading it for the next 30 days. This way you will be able to claim the losses when you file your returns. and how the wash sale works for various strategies like covered calls and spreads can get tricky that we could even make a video about it. And for those who are just starting out, handling assignments and expirations can be tricky. You want to know exactly what to do when you have an options trade that is just about to expire and if any of the legs are going to be in the money. This could result in a stock position or stocks getting called away. It is important to know what happens in the situation and prevent the potential risk that can come out of it. And acquiring this amount of knowledge will require some serious amount of hard work, which is what I want to talk next. To start out as an options trader, it might take hundreds of hours to learn all the concepts. And once you are done, as you begin trading, you will spend a good amount of time on a daily basis to review all the trades, what you already have, what's going on with them, and if anything needs to be managed, and then keeping up with the markets, what are the developments and what's going on with the overall economy as well as the specific companies you are currently having a position on, and then also finding new trades. You have to go through different option chains, check the volatility, check the news and everything before you can find a good trade. And not only that, you have to continue to improve and pick up new skills, learn new ways to manage or find trades. All of this will require a serious amount of hard work if you want to be successful. And by putting in so much into this, a trader can have strong emotions, and it is very important to be able to control them. So I checked what's another word for controlling your emotions because I couldn't come up with anything really quick. So I googled it and I found that the closest one was the Zen mode. Have you ever traded a stock and later felt like I shouldn't have done that, it's not part of my rules? Have you ever put on a trade when you never really had to, thinking to yourself, that didn't match all my rules, why did I put on the trade? Going out of your system can result in large losses sometimes and also loss of confidence. Making a bad trade can suddenly start making you think, are you really good? Is this for me? Even though you might have had 10 or 15 successful trades before that, any large loss or big mistakes can really start making you doubt yourself. This is where the discipline really helps. You know your system and you know how many times it will win. So let's say you would win 70% of your trades, and if you lost one or two, it's totally okay because it's still within the expected limit. Not all system can win every trade. And when you do win every trade, sometimes you could get overconfident, thinking that you will win every time, and that is when you make a mistake, make a big trade, and end up with losing everything. I had one earnings trade where I broke a rule or two, and I really paid for it. I usually stick to trading earnings on blue chip stocks, but this time I found a stock called Beyond Meat, which had some good premiums for pretty far out of the money contracts. In the end, the stock moved 30-40% overnight and continued to do the same the next day, which resulted in huge losses for me. Until that point, I had probably won like 14-15 trades in a row, and that probably made me think, oh, maybe this one would win too. I never touched Beyond Meat ever again since that trade, but sometimes you do think like you want to take a revenge on a particular stock that you lost money on. You might be tempted to trade that exact same stock again and get a win out of it. When you trade real money, serious emotions are in play, and it is important to stick to your system and trust the system. Staying longer than you plan to might potentially convert the trade into a losing trade, and the emotions and regrets you get out of it can be really hard to handle. And for the last quality, I was debating between the two of these. To be able to come up with a good trade, Not only do you have to know about the mechanics of options, but you do have to think creatively on which strategy you can use for which situation, and someone who is creative have more chances of coming up with one. And to do all this every day for years and years, you need to be passionate about this. Unless you really enjoy what you do, scanning for a good trade for a long time and just leave your desk without having found anything and still be happy about it, that can only happen if you have the passion for this. I definitely enjoy doing this a lot, which is why I created this channel to help more beginner traders and decide if it is for them. Whenever someone mentions options, it definitely gives me joy and happiness, and I can talk about it for hours and hours, even though it is not my full-time job. I'll continue to have this as my nice little hobby for the rest of my life. So that's all I have for 5 qualities of successful options traders. Did I miss anything that you had in your mind? Please share in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next video.